Hello and welcome to another Tower of God video, and today we'll be talking about YAMA, a really hyped up character. I guess I'll play the video and then I'll talk about this character as we play, but the 1.5 anniversary is over. I hope you guys had the summons that you wanted, I hope you guys have everything that you need, but yeah, new character. So YAMA is one of the Fug Slayers from Fug, and he is really strong. And there's more to him later in the story. I don't want to spoil anything if you guys want to read the webtoon, but he's supposedly very strong. He takes a lot of L's, but he's really strong. He is basically, you know, the guy, a Mad Dog, yes, Trasha. I don't know how to say his name, but he is like his I guess I wouldn't say owner, but like he's the one in charge of him, right? And he has this whole thing with transformations. He gets stronger with them, and then he also has this thing with fear, where that's why in the trailer says a lot of fear. You can't hear it, but you know, with fear, essentially no one can attack him if he has fear. Like they can't do damage to him if they're scared of him. So that's the character. So guys, he's a blue tank. What are we doing? Okay, okay, so I know Tower Guard is doing this thing. It looks like it, that after the EX unit, they just focus on another meta, right? Notice that when Gustang was done, not Gustang, when Trummer was done, they stopped doing green meta as much, like with SSR pluses and everything, and they focused on another color. They focused on red, and then had a bunch of red units until Gustang, and then now that Gustang's over, they're gonna do a bunch of blue meta units until the next EX is done. So the next EX is obviously going to be blue, and they're gonna release a bunch of blue units until that EX character is like done. Obviously they have a few exceptions, but that's the only way I can see them justifying having a blue tank for a red looking character, right? Anyways, he's a cap character, but with YAMA, I'm gonna do it differently, where I am going to talk about his passive first and then his active skills, and then I'll do his special moves later, because YAMA's passives and active correlate with each other. So before I get with this kit, his whole premise, like with this character in the game, is that he wants to have people in his like canine zone, right? And when enemies are in his canine zone, he gets a bunch of buffs, and he gets like really like hard to kill when he's like fighting with people in his canine zone. But he'll struggle against units who are ranged units, who are further away, who aren't in his canine zone. But he has like ways to make it so that they are in his canine zone, which we'll get into later. But either way, so if we look at his kit, his passive says, at the start of battle, Yama's physical resistance and magical resistance increases by N and increases the canine zone around him. Yama's attack increased by N for each ally in the zone, and his defense increased by N for each enemy in the zone. Yama becomes immune to fear and knockback during battle. This is nice to have, but it's not like groundbreaking. But I think knockback is kind of slept on, but you know, that's good to have. But he'll make his canine zone. This is nice. Physical and magical resistance increase. We love to see it. Even when there's nobody in the zone, he gets that automatically, which is good for a tank. Now, this Yama's attack increases by N for each ally in the zone. I'm not sure if you like in the trailer, the canine zone didn't seem to be that big. So I don't think that you'll see this proc that often, like the each ally attack increase for each ally in the zone, unless if you have a bunch of like close range DPS units. So I don't think that's really gonna be a thing you'll see often. But this you'll see often, because spoiler alert, he provokes in his special. So having this is really nice to make it harder for him to kill. So obviously how good he is depends on the physical and magical resistance increase, and then also like the how much defense he's getting. But this character is kind of hard to gauge, but he seems like he doesn't seem like a must rainbow unit, but he doesn't seem like a must have unit either, you know. Anyways, so canine zone, keep that in mind, right? Yama gazes at the enemies within the canine zone. Actually no, let's do this one first. Yama swings his right arm with partial mimicry. And mimicry is like transformation, right? At the farthest enemy, and deals damage equal to an N of his attack within the range. So he'll just like, it's kind of like a hook. Like you'll hook the person in, and they'll bring him to his canine zone. And if anybody gets hit by the animation or like the special effects gets hit by damage too. Then use his claw to pull the enemy outside and towards him. Yes. In addition, the skill remain cooldown decreased by M whenever he's hit by an enemy. So this is good because you kind of want his enemies to be in the canine zone. So if they aren't in the canine zone, let's say like you get a healer or a support or like a ranged unit or a mage, he'll just like hook them into the canine zone, which is really strong because that's what you want. And this is good because YAMA is a close range unit, so he'll come up and fight an enemy, so there'll be one person in his canine zone, and he'll use his hook and there'll be two people in his canine zone, or maybe more, depending on how many he gets hit by the active skill, which will increase his defense. And then we also have this. This is really strong. Is it this one? Wait, one of them. Anyways, YAMA gazes an enemy within the canine zone with faithful sight, and which is like his whole like fear thing. Decreases attack by N and reduces energy by N. Reducing energy is really strong. This could be busted depending on how much you get of energy, because if reducing energy just stops the enemy from ulting, and when the enemy ults, it feels like GG's. So this is very important how much energy he's getting, but we don't know that until he drops in the game. But depending on how much this is, he could be really strong. In addition, when enemies attack YAMA within the canine zone, he counters attack with 9% of his attack as damage. That's cool. The counter attack, I don't know how much he'll do for counter attack damage, but I don't think it'll be too crazy because he's a tank. But it's still good. This is still nice to have, right? You have a bunch, you'll hook them into your canine zone. Well, then in your canine zone, they attack you, you attack back. Unless if you don't use it, and then also you can also reduce the energy, so stop them from ulting you. And when they're in the zone, they get an increased defense. And I guess if you're allies, you get increased attack, but that's not really like common. That won't be as common as you think it is. Anyways, let me go to his ult. YAMA provokes the enemy team for N seconds, which is like good because the more enemy you have, the more defense you're gonna get. So this provoke is really strong. And proceed to use full mimicry for both arms. That's transformation for both arms. YAMA cannot act during mimicry, but he becomes immune to status effects and incoming damage is decreased by N. So he's basically invincible in his ult when he's like charging up and he's like transforming, or he's using full mimicry instead of transformation. When he's using full mimicry, he's basically invincible. He can't get hit by status effects. He's using physical resistance and magical resistance is increased, and his defense increased because he's provoking. So if you don't get people from here, and you you'll definitely get people from here, right, from his ult. And then he deals damage equal to N of his attack to nearby enemies and make them airborne. That's cool. Additionally, during mimicry, the attack coefficient of his special move is increased by N each time he is hit. So this is big. So here's his ult. He's basically invincible, and you want to have as many people with him as possible so that he gets hit a lot. You want him to get hit as much as possible. And then once he gets as much as possible, he'll do a little poof, right? He'll do a little poof. So that's his whole thing. So with that, basically this game is telling you don't want to have more than one provoked unit when YAMA is in the team. So you don't want to have Karaka and YAMA. You don't want to have just YAMA because you want to be able to use his ult and like just do a bunch of damage, right? So yeah, so basically what you want is you get the idea, right? You get the idea. So with YAMA, it's really, I don't know how to gauge him until we get more info, because he could be, if this energy thing is like really small, he loses a lot of value, right? I'm assuming this will do a lot of damage, but if it doesn't do a lot of damage, he loses a lot of value because this whole special is just based upon him charging up and like exploding with a stupid amount of damage, right? So if this doesn't do a lot of damage, then he loses a lot of value, right? Because you're just wasting time charging up and doing like no damage is not good. But he's a tank, right? He loses a lot of value if these aren't high. The YAMA is basically a numbers character, right? And he doesn't seem broken, but he seems very good. I'm sure that if you rainbow him and you revolution 5 him, he'll be very tanky and he'll do his job. At the very least, he'll be a good tank. At the very least, he'll be a good tank. Now, the utility of with him with the energy reduction and the what call it, and this, like how much damage he does with his ult, just depends on like the game. But I don't think he's gonna do too much damage, and I don't think he's gonna reduce too much energy. But I think he seems good, but he doesn't seem broken. He doesn't seem like a must-have unit. I will say though, it is good that you can put him on any team, but he doesn't seem like a character that you need to summon, or else like you can't progress through the game. Like you'll be fine. Like if you have Data Mashni at one dupe, because this character is competing against Data Mashni, and Data Mashni has a lot of value because you only really need like one copy of this character. While this character is based a lot on dupes because of like he's not invincible. He has magical and physical resistance increases by a certain amount, and with the more dupes you have, the more the resistance will increase. So he's dupe reliant, but he's not like, you don't need to rainbow him. But he'll still be good. But I don't think he's like a must-have unit, right? So I would personally say, if you're free to play. But if you need a tank unit, then he's really good because you can put him on any color team and he'll do great. Anyways, that is YAMA. Now let's talk about Kasano. So I'll play the trailer and I'll talk about this character from the lore. So Kasano is the brother of Haryang. He's like the blue tank unit SSR from the beginning of the game. He's the real devil of the right arm, but he uses his left arm to like use his ability. Like there's a whole like plot with him. But he's from the workshop battle. I personally don't like him that much in the story. He doesn't really do much. He's a lot of all talk and no bite. Like anyways. He is a red, I think, fisherman, which kind of makes sense because like Karyong's like a tank, and like see how his arm is like red, so like like they'll still release red units, but I don't think they'll be releasing like SSR plus red units. They'll have some red units to fill in the gaps every once in a while. But I will say red has gotten a lot of good units recently, so I'm actually really happy about that. And I think honestly, I like Kasano's kit more than Yama's kit, surprisingly. And I think that he's a very good unit for an SSR. I'm very happy with Haryang, based on what I'm reading. But yeah, also with Yama, a lot of his like how good Yama is gonna be based on his ignition weapon, like his exclusive weapon and his revolution. Specifically his exclusive weapon, because I don't think people are gonna rainbow him, unless if you're a whale or you really like Yama. But I think exclusive weapon is going to be very important for Yama. But for this character, anyways, enough about Yama. He's not as complicated as Yama to understand, and he's not saying that Yama was complicated, but he's a very simple character. But anyways, Kasano. Once the battle begins, Kasano releases Devil Shockwave every number of seconds to reduce the energy of nearby enemies by N. Like I said, it just depends on how much energy you're taking away. But that itself is really strong because it's an AoE effect. So the round starts automatically, reduces energy. That's good. It makes it so the enemy doesn't use that ult straight away. And this works really well with his ult, which is really, really good. Anyways, when Kasano falls between N or below, he becomes invincible for N and resets the cooldown of active skills. That's good because one of his active skills is really, really strong. But he reaches a certain amount, he becomes invincible. Then he can use his active skills before he either gets push shot again or survives a little longer. It says limit N. I'm assuming it's only once. But if it's more than once, that'll be pretty good. But yes, he seems really strong, right? Being able to stop energy the second the round starts is an AoE effect, is really, really good. Anyways, now look at his ultimate, which works really well with his passive. Kasano ignites his left arm and slams down hard, dealing end damage of his attack as damage to nearby enemies and make them airborne. The enemy hit by attack has their energy recovered blocked. That's so good. So the round starts, if you have him rainbowed, he'll use his passive, then he'll reduce the amount of energy, so the enemy won't be able to ult you as quickly, which is really good because in the later stages, bro, these enemies are relentless with their ultimate attacks. The second like Data Uruk comes up and AoEs you, it's wraps, right? So the second the even like lower levels, the second the Eon Ihwa decides to ult you, you're done, right? So it stops Uruk from using his not Uruk, Evan from using his ult, so he can't, invincible everybody. Same with you get the idea, right? And then with them stopping energy recovery block, meaning they really won't be able to ult you at all, right? If you have him Rainbow, he'll like use this, wait 2-3 seconds, use this. Also, if you have Sella ignition weapon, you might be able to not is it Sella not Sella? The one that like idea, and if you have the idea set, you might be able to use this like twice like in a row, which is really good. But either way, those two work really well together. One of his active skills, this is really strong. Kasana throws a punch that ignores the target's magic resistance by N, that's whatever, dealing N damage to his attack as damage and stuns the target. So he stuns too. So he energy reduces, energy blocks, he stuns, and he also he reduces swiftness. The swiftness of the enemy hit by the attack decreases by N for N seconds. They've pushed that a lot with SSRs recently, with the Kunu Kun that came out with Bomb, also with the Enact that came with the anniversary, and now Kasano. I think they're really pushing this like swiftness reduction meta, which is reducing swiftness is really strong. So this is really good. So he stuns and reduces swiftness, energy blocks, and energy reduction. Okay. And then he also increases swiftness for himself. So for this skill, Kasana pulls the farthest enemy with strength off his right arm and throws an uppercut, dealing N damage of his attack and damage and making the enemy target airborne for N seconds. Afterwards, his swiftness increases by N for N. So he increases swiftness, which is also really good because that just buffs him, makes it easier for him to use this skill and his special, and what swiftness is, right? It makes it quick, and makes a character do things faster, enabling them to use their ult quicker, do a little bit more damage, and all that. But it's really good. Like, he's on paper, he's very good. He's not going to do a lot of damage, but SSRs are not meant to do damage. They're supposed to be utility based characters, and the utility that Kasana brings, I think, is really strong. We'll have to see what his exclusive weapons are again and his revolution, but so far I like him a lot. Like, I think I'll use Kasano more than YAMA, if I'm being honest. Well, I can see him being used more, especially in like arena. Like in arena, I think he'll be really good. But I think he'll also be really good as a utility character, anyways. So but yeah, that's the first impressions. I would like as a review. I think that YAMA is very good, but I don't think he's a must-have unit. I don't think he's broken either. I think he's just like, I think you can be safe to not summon on YAMA. He's not I need him right now. Obviously, we'll see like in game, because YAMA is really based on like his percentages compared to other characters. Like Gustang, you could tell, like he does so much, so you could tell he'll be buzzed. You don't have to like see like everything, but with YAMA, I think you really do have to see what the numbers are, but especially with his energy and like his ultimate. But I think you can be safe. You don't have to Rainbow YAMA, you don't have to. And then with Kasano, I think he'll be really strong. You should generally aim to Rainbow SSRs when they come out, but yeah, Kasano's good, but he's not great. He's not like he's great. He's not like busted, but he's a very good character. I would definitely invest in this guy more so than YAMA. But yeah, that's the video, and have a good one. Peace.